Think of that session. Good, right? Good start. So, who's got a takeaway, like an aha moment, something that sort of resonated that Jeff talked about today? All right, Sharon? Wasn't Sharon amazing?
Yes, an aha, which actually leads in, I feel like, really great, and hopefully will inspire others with this. But so I'm Sharon Rock. I actually live in Miramar Beach, Destin, Florida. Originally from Louisiana, about 30 miles north of New Orleans. I moved to Florida for the beach, and I did a lot of soul searching when I moved there because I had a mobile home flipping company back in Louisiana. Try to figure out what was going to happen, and so I decided to start eventually, just not yet. But I was led to feel like flipping land in that area is going to be my route to take. With that being said, Jeff, that was just up here, back there by the soundboard now. He and I connected early last year, and we started talking a lot in regards to his lending company. Well, that led here recently. I actually came on as a loan consultant with Jeff. And so I am very new to this, so I am learning and growing and all of that good stuff. So if you haven't talked to Jeff or you want to about hard money lending, obviously definitely do that. But with me coming on board, if there's anything I can do, I love what he said about what we do is we rent money to people. So if you're looking for money to be rented to you and you want to come and talk to me as well, I am learning, so just bear with me, be very transparent with you, but I have an amazing teacher right there, and I'd be honored to help you, and if it's refis or rehabs. So that's me.
Thank you. All right. Who else has an aha moment, something that sort of resonated that Jeff talked about that you would like to share? Okay, well, I'm glad you're sharing. We're a sharing group. Here you go. Tell us
Thank you, Jim.
Where you're from.
Yeah, my name is Ray Burkhalter. I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Got a private lending business there. We serve the state. It was two things, and Jeff, I appreciate that very much. It's always good for me to start off with mindset and kind of some softer side of things. And so it was the people side and then the share your goal side.
Yeah.
When he said it went from years to 7 days, that really got my attention. So on the people side of it, we have built relationships with other lenders in our area. And I got a call yesterday. And this guy, who's got about an $8 million portfolio, he said, we were looking at our plans for 2025, and I really want to scale back and do some other things. And we've been networking for a couple of years now, and he said, I want to work with you and get you to take about half of my portfolio.
Wow.
So that's big. That's going to increase our growth plans more than we were expecting, but we have the capacity for that on our team. So the share your dream part is I'm going to be raising $4 million over the next few months to take over that part of his portfolio. So thank you, Jeff.
I would bet, without a doubt, you could raise $4 million in the next 3 days. I've seen it happen. All right. Oh, here we go.
Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good? All right, so my name is Joe Castaneda. I'm the managing partner of Duke Allen & Company. Guys, so there's something important that Jeff said. I'm also an introvert, believe it or not, right? But I bring energy because I understand that I'm running a business. If people don't understand what I do, therefore I cannot provide for my family, right? So social media is very important to let everybody know what you do and then be in line with certain guidelines as well. And one thing that Jeff said right now is that one deal could literally make you or break you. So it's very important that you do your due diligence, no matter if it's the most seasoned investor in your market or in your neighborhood or in your city or state. Always do your due diligence because you never know that one deal, like I said, it could set you back. He mentioned almost 10 years to get back that $100,000, right? So you have to understand doing your homework and your due diligence per deal. Not every deal is a good deal. So doing your homework is very important. And that was my aha moment, is doing your homework with the right people, and not all money is good money, right? So, guys, just learn as much as you guys can. And if you guys have any questions, our table is also outside. We also do DSCR loans, debt service coverage ratio. That's another tool for you to understand how you're going to get your money back on your private money lending venture. So, if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
That's actually a great lead-in, Jeff, isn't it? Are you ready to go? Okay. Everything's ready. The slides are ready? Not quite. Go ahead. You have an aha moment? Take it away.
Raul Urrea from Midwest, Midwest area over in Wisconsin. We're borrowers. I'm licensed general contractor. I got a roofing business. I got a construction company. I do a lot of retail, and we also flip. We've done about 25 flips. I know Jeff. Jeff's a great guy, and honestly, something that really stood out to me is like we're not all perfect. And I met Jeff, and I choked up when I met Jeff the first time because I had a brain tumor, and I was just it was very, very recent. I got introduced to Jeff by a friend of mine, and at that time I didn't know what to say to Jeff because mentally I wasn't there. So I'm really, really grateful to be here. And again, we're borrowers, so if anybody is interested in working with us, we are more than happy to do so. Thank you very much.
Thanks for sharing. Okay. Who else? Oh, here we go. Hey there. How you doing?
Good. How are you? I'm glad to be here. My name is Rebecca Taylor. I'm from Lynchburg, Virginia. We have a company called Tailored Investments, and one of the aha moments for me was that calendar. We always hear about calendars as, planning out all the things we have to do, all the work, but from the flip side about how to plan the things we want to do was really powerful. I got into real estate because I wanted to, have more time freedom and have more passive income years ago. And then starting my own business, I was hoping to have more time freedom, and it can often be the opposite. I don't know about you, but being an entrepreneur is a lot of work. The work never, ever ends. And so to think about our schedules a little bit differently, I think is something that we should do more of. I have three young kids, and I want to be more available to them. And I find myself often doing the opposite. I'm just always working. And so thank you for that, Jeff. I think that was really powerful. And I love that you figured out how to have more balance in your life. We all need healthy life-work balance. So thank you.
Love it. All right. Thank you very much. Okay. I think we're ready to roll. So just a moment ago, Joe was talking about due diligence, and that was like the perfect lead-in because you can't skip it, and you got to get it right. And sometimes it's difficult to know who you're working with, and there's a lot of different pieces to it. And I can't think of anybody better for this session than Jeff Watson, of course. Not only is he's my amazing lawyer, my wonderful friend, who I truly love and appreciate and so grateful for. But he's also now a best-selling author with his new book. How many of you guys have seen it? I love it. It's a great book. And so what I'd like you to do is stand up really quick and give me a super loud shout, clap, everything for the amazing Jeff Watson.
Love you, brother. All right, love you. Oh, good morning again, and thank you so much. It is truly both a privilege and honor and fun to be here. How many of you think learning should be fun? All right, so we're gonna try and have a little fun in the midst of this, and I'm gonna just start out with a couple of questions. I'm just gonna do this a little differently. I got a scripted slide. I'm gonna break the rules already. How many of you have lost more than $100,000 on a residential deal? Oh, come on. Y'all are a bunch of rookies. Okay. So how many of you have a business that is kind of like a septic tank clean-out business? That's part of my law business. The stuff, the deal, the loan goes sideways, and I get the phone call. I get the text message, I get the email, I get the Facebook message, and some of you, you're in the room. And we have fixed some of it. We've not been able to fix all of it. And it gets really fun when you get into the part that I really like, which is you got a Roth IRA or a 401k or something else involved in the deal. And so now you feel like there's all sorts of handcuffs because of the rules, and how do you fix it? And so I guess if you had to describe what do, I'm the guy that shows up with the crust buster and the pump to the septic tank of the screwed up IRA deal. That's my job, okay? So if that doesn't give you a graphic morning image to wake you up, I don't know what will. Anyhow, let's talk about lending due diligence so that you don't have to hire me for fixing the problem. Instead, you hire me for preventing the problem. And this presentation is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information with regard to the subject matter being covered. This is education. This is not legal advice. It's education. I'm not going to bash Ricky D anymore and say this is my Ricky D disclaimer. Oh, wait, I just did. It's provided with the understanding that the presenter is not engaged in rendering legal, accounting, or other psychiatric or professional advice. If legal or other professional assistance is required, the services of a competent, yes, Jeff was right about that, a lot of lawyers are not competent, professional must be acquired. And I'm going to go back because there's a couple other disclaimers that I didn't put in here that I want to. We've put a lot of time, effort, and money into getting this amazing group of cool kids in the room. And Jeff has put a lot of time, effort, and energy. Jeff Shahusky's put a lot of time, effort, and energy, along with Rita. By the way, when you see Rita, tell her what an amazing job she's done. Jim Ingersoll has poured his heart into this, and so we're recording this. And so please understand, this is the intellectually protected, copyrighted material of the three of us together. Please do not be out there thinking you're going to put this into your program, your training, your teaching. You can't do it. And do me a favor, don't put my slides on social media. Don't do it, okay? Thank you. All right, who am I? Well, I've been practicing law in the state of Ohio for over 33 years. I've been a real estate investor for over 30 years. I've had some great deals. I've had some deals where I've lost a whole lot of money, like $100,000. I'm a full-time practicing attorney representing self-directed clients, and I'm a co-founder of, general counsel of, and still owner of RealFlow LLC, which is the 800-pound gorilla in the residential real estate CRM space. Right, Darlene? We are the gorilla. Most of you use us and don't even know it, and that's great. Also general counsel, National Real Estate Investors Association, and then an outfit called Note School out of Texas, and an outfit out of Dayton, Ohio called National Wealth Builders. All right, changed the law in the state of Ohio 5 times, 4 times through litigation, 1 time legislation. Changed national housing policy 3 times, got a couple more coming. Co-authored some stuff that was in Congress. Now we've got to get it reintroduced with a new Congress to amend Dodd-Frank, SAFE, and Truth in Lending. A best-selling author, Boaz on Business, blows me away. My amazing assistant made it all happen. I was just a small-town lawyer in Northeast Ohio, minding my own business, doing my own deals, when I came up with a better, smarter way to do short sales. I just did. And as a result, I've met Patty, I've met Darlene, I've met so many others. Just came up with a better way of doing it. And that made me suddenly get connected with 2 amazing guys in Cleveland, Ohio, one of whom I am still in business with today. We still own the majority of RealFlow between the 2 of us. Well, he does by himself. We've got some other big-name partners in there, and we took that company, hit the Inc. 500 list 1 year, and then I've got other clients that have made the Inc. 500 list, so I know what it looks like to have a rapid-growing company in the real estate space. And I'm going to get off the stage because it's got a squeak right in the middle, but anyhow, let's keep on moving. I have got some books. I've got about 48 copies of Boaz on Business. If you want an autographed copy, I'll give it to you today for $20, but the $20 goes to Share the Love. It doesn't go to me. And if you want it, great. If you brought your own copy, you want me to sign it, I'll be happy to do that. If you need to order it, that's a way of doing it. Yes, shameless self-promotion. That's how you get to become a bestseller, I'm learning, is you got to tell people to buy your book. Or you got to ask people to buy your book. Or you got to beg people to buy your book, or something like that. But you got to talk about your book, Boaz on Business. And I love Boaz. God used so much in the book of Ruth to teach me so many lessons. And I'm going to share some of those lessons with you today as I get out here. And I'm going to tell you right now, not every slide in this presentation is going to be your book. Maybe none of them are, but all the important things are included. So we'll get into all that. This is my house slide. Yes, it was inspired by Pete Fortunato. I am privileged to tell you that I stand on the shoulders of some really great men in the residential real estate space. And this is a slide that depicts a lot of anything about a house. We've got our dirt, land lease, surface rights, mineral rights. Well, I don't have water rights in there, but we've got all that. We've got quiet enjoyment. We can have an option on a house. We've got depreciation. We've got tax benefits. We can get value and growth via appreciation improvements, short-term gains, capital, long-term capital gains. We can get profits for ordinary income for wholesalers or flippers. I have no idea why anybody would want to be a wholesaler, not at least on a long-term basis. We can have payments towards mortgage amortization. We can have interest income. We can have it as collateral and security as promises to pay a debt, and that's what this is all about. It's all about, these 3 days are about payments, mortgages, amortization, collateral, security, promises to pay debt. That's where we're going to be. So we're going to be over here in the garage area of the car for the next 3 days. Not the car, but the garage area of the house. Okay? All right, so equity is a theory until a capital event gives you the dose of medicine that is prescribed by the market. You're going to be like, huh? What you talking about, Watson? Okay, so we all think our properties are worth this. And the tax man thinks our properties are worth this. And the buyer thinks our properties are worth this. And the lender thinks their properties are worth like this. So I'm going to suggest to you that none of you are right. Instead, what you have in a property that you think is equity, that you think is value, is not what you think it is. You've got an inflated sense of self-worth. You've got an inflated sense of wealth and equity. Why? Because you have not had a capital event. You do not yet know what other people, ready, willing, and able, with liquidity, would give you for that property. And then you've not yet experienced the thrill of the transactional costs of selling it. Right, Bill? And then you have your partner that shows up. And it's theirs, the IRS. They want a piece of it. So once we get done with this capital event, the experiencing of reality, the transactional cost, and it's been taxed, now we know what our equity really is. And you're like, well, Jeff, what does that have to do with private lending? Well, that is the dose of reality we have to start with. Your property's not worth what you think it is, so don't you dare try to borrow as much as you think you want to borrow off of it. And Mr. Lender, please do not lend on it. Smartest lender I represent never goes above 65% of what he thinks is fair market value. Because he knows that capital events provide a dose of medicine that is usually a bitter pill for somebody to swallow, and he does not want to do any of the bitter. Okay? He's the only investor in Cleveland, Ohio that survived a $10 million fraud artist and made money doing it. Because he has a team of extremely good lawyers, of which I'm one of them. So it's when you understand those kind of strategies, that's what keeps it there. So that's the perspective I want you to have. In case you're wondering why am I coming all the way back here, it's because I'm thirsty. Okay. Due diligence is essential to staying on your path to building wealth. How many of you are here today because you just want to have fun? You don't need to make any money. Yeah, Tom, I should have known, okay? Okay, yeah, I should have known. All right, another best-selling author in the room. Anyhow, most of us are not here just because we want to have fun. Some of us are here because we're still in the process of building wealth, stewarding wealth, accumulating the resources that God is sending our way, managing them wisely to benefit others in order to further His kingdom. Okay, that's a really quick summary for what I'm doing here. All right, so we've got to understand due diligence. So let's talk about another giant to whom we all owe a lot of respect to. And that is my late dear friend Dyke Spotiford. And Bill, you were closer to him than I was. That man was so kind to me in one of the worst times of my life. I learned so much from him, and I will tell you, it's kind of silly and embarrassing to say this, but when I first started attending his classes, I was so scared that I knew so little I would hide during networking breaks. I would hide, because that man was so smart and I was so dumb. Do not do that. Do not do that here. Anyhow, I took Dykes' hard money lending class probably 7 times. And he taught one of the 2 most important things is the best time to worry about a loan or a deal is before you do it. If you do the worrying beforehand, if you do your due diligence beforehand, if you do it right, if you follow a system, if you have a system, If you ask the tough, awkward questions beforehand, right, Tim? Then you don't have to worry so much about it after you fund the deal. And there's another slide, there's another comment, and I don't have it in a slide, so I'm going to just do my best to call it out. But this is what Dyke says. Do not loan on a property unless you're willing to own it for what you're lending on it and everything superior to you. And I would say, and add extra for real estate taxes and HOA in our environment today. But Dykes, we lost him this last year. Great man. Jeff has learned a ton from him. I've learned a ton from him. I know Jim's learned a lot from him. So, anyhow. Oh, let's talk about some due diligence questions so I can clear my head, get the tears out of my eyes. All right. The deal. Everybody wants to talk about the deal, the deal, the deal. I got this deal. I'm thinking about this deal. I'm doing this deal. Can you explain the deal in 2 simple sentences where an 8-year-old can understand it? I'm going to buy a house, and Jeff's going to loan me the money to fix it up. Okay, 2 simple sentences. Next one. Is the deal commercially viable? You, as a borrower or lender, need to be able to articulate the answer to that question. Because, Nick, I know you do not go out and do anything that's not designed to make money. Right, Nick? Okay. All right, relationship. Am I comfortable with the borrower-lender relationship? And this is one of the lessons I learned the very hard way. And guys, listen to me carefully. Ladies, you can tune me out, okay? Guys, listen to me. If you're blessed to have someone in your life with a different genetic chromosome makeup than yourself, and she has a feeling about a deal, listen. I did not once, and I lost $100,000 plus, okay? Now, to her credit, while we were still married, she only said, "I told you so" twice. Only twice. And I'm grateful for that. All right, so money. Is there a clear explanation of how much is needed, how it will be used, and most importantly, how it will get paid back? I want a return of and a return on my principal. Is that outrageous? Or is that reasonable? Great. Because if I can't answer the question, if it can't be explained to me, hey, this is how I'm going to pay you back. Hey, this is how I'm going to get paid back, then forget it. Now, I'm going to show you some nasty clauses in the next session I talk, which I think will be tomorrow afternoon, about when I don't get paid back on time, how I make extra money. A lot of extra money. I've got a guy that's not paid me on time. He's now current. He's now made the requisite number of payments. He's caught up. But as a result of which, what was my portion of a wrap loan of $10,000 after a bunch of payments is now down to $18,600. And I think the LTV is at 40% right now on that deal. So am I bothered? Absolutely not. I'm like, you just keep doing your thing, man. I'm just making money off of you. All right. So analysis. From your real estate experience, most of you know how to analyze a deal, but do you know how to evaluate a borrower or a lender? By a show of hands, how many of you, and I hope a bunch of you raise your hands, have done 5 deals or less? Please, get them all the way up. I want to know what I'm really looking here. I hope there's a bunch of you. 5 deals or less. Any real estate deal, 5 deals or less. Fantastic. Wonderful. Jake, I knew you'd have your hand up because you can't piggyback off of your family yet. All right. Do you invest the same energy in evaluating these relationships as you would as in looking at a house? There are people that I just don't want to do business with because I just don't like them. I just don't like them. And then there are people I'd love to do business with because I like them. And that's almost as risky because then times I will have a blind eye. Okay? Let's hit the button again and see what happens. Are you willing to ask the hard questions? You've got to be willing to ask the hard questions. If you're not willing to ask the hard questions of yourself and of the counterparties in the deal, then please, this is just an entertainment experience for you, okay? You got to ask the hard questions. Let's talk about some of those hard questions. Do you have 2 years of business taxes available? If you were to go to a bank and want to borrow money, what would they want to see? Your last 2 years of tax returns. I had the delightful experience of borrowing money from a bank last year for the first time ever in like 15 years. I did it for 2 reasons. Because I wanted to experience the agony of the process. I'm serious, I did. I did it because I wanted to see just how bad it was now. And I also wanted to see what was I missing from when I do loans to other people or when I'm borrowing from other people. What am I missing? What are things that the banks are doing that I didn't know I should be doing? And they are much more aggressive on their underwriting. And I can tell you they don't understand real estate investors. Oh, they do not understand real estate investors. I thought I had hit the mother lode when the loan officer for Huntington Bank said to me, Jeff, you can leave the house in the trust. You don't have to take it out in order to do this refi loan. And we closed that way. We did great. But they did not understand my taxes. And they were like, well, Jeff, you're taking the money from this deal and you're going to go buy another deal. Well, we got to see how that deal fits into your debt-to-income calculations. And I go, you already have. I've been buying this house on a land contract. I'm just paying off the land contract with this money. Well, no, we got to go re-underwrite you. I go, I'm not going to buy that deal then. Just give me the money. And then now I'm doing the deal. But anyhow, yeah, I got a closing at, today's Wednesday, right? I got a closing like in 30 minutes after I get done speaking, all right? How many of you had a deal close yet so far this year? Great, awesome. How many of you finished out the year closing at least 2 deals in December? Awesome. Okay. When can I see or read a copy of the purchase contract? When can I see, if you're the lender and they want you to fund their purchase of a piece of property, I need to see the deal paperwork. I need to see when are you buying it, for when, from whom, for how much, on what terms and conditions. Because I got to make sure that it's really a legitimate sale and not a ghetto refi where you're buying it from one LLC to another LLC because you got this LLC in Arizona and this one in Wyoming and it's really been a bad house and you're just trying to fake your numbers to get some more money out of it. Yeah, I saw a guy do that once. Entities. Do you control any other entities in any other states? What are you doing? I want to know what's going on. And no, I'm not from FinCEN or the Corporate Transparency Act. I still want to know what you got. Okay? Complaints. I sure as hell know I'm not perfect. I mean, it's just, I'm not, there's a lot of people who tell you a lot of bad things about me. Okay? So what's a complaint you've previously received? And hard to get a hold of is probably my number one complaint. What would I find if I ran a credit, business, and criminal background check on you? Well, let's see. Currently remain unconvicted for any felonies. Not yet been arrested or indicted yet. Well, it depends on see what they do with the Corporate Transparency Act. Credit, I'm doing okay. Business, all right there too. Okay. But that's the idea. Now, here's my lovely question, and this is the one that usually catches a lot of investors that you don't want to do business with. And so listen to me carefully here. Ask the question of, tell me about your back end. Who's your accountant? Who's your bookkeeper? Who does your financials? Who's the lawyer you generally go to? How often do you reconcile bank statements? How current are you on all of these business operational things? Ask specific questions and don't accept waffling, vague answers. Because if they can't give you specifics, like Greg Paulding in Erie, Pennsylvania has been doing my taxes for the last 12 years. My assistant Debbie reconciles all accounts at least once a month. If they can't give you specifics like that, then you want to be very cautious. You want to be very cautious. Always ask for, where's the money going? What are you going to do with it? And once again, I've said it before, how am I going to get paid back? Because it's the guy that's running the Ponzi scheme that doesn't know he's running the Ponzi scheme is the one that's going to get you. Remember this great American hero? Ronald Reagan. His statement was trust but verify. I'm a little different. When it comes to investing due diligence, it should be verify, verify, then slowly trust. Test, test, test again, and then trust. Investor due diligence. Search the various Secretary of State's websites for all of their other related entities. Run their name. Run their name through the Nevada. Run their name through Wyoming. People love those entities out of those states. I have no idea why they've been sold a bill of goods, but run them because they're going to report it. We want to find out. Look for them in SunBiz. Look for them in Texas Secretary of State. Look to see what else they've got going on. Google them and their entities, and then get off of Google and use Yandex. Use DuckDuckGo. Look around. Just don't trust Google. Because there are guys out there that spend a lot of money paying team members to suppress bad Google reviews and so on. I'm not going to mention any names. I could, but I'm not going to. I don't represent any of them, so anyhow. Search for success stories and failures on various forms of social media. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc., TikTok, whatever. If they are always crushing it, if everything is sunshine and roses and Skittles and unicorns and lollipops, run. If everything is Chick-fil-A, give them a grief about their diet, okay? Like some of my friends have already done to me this morning, Darlene. All right, so, yes, Michelle.
What if you can't find anything on some investors? Like they're from New York, they come into Florida, and you can't find, and they do that on purpose.
Ask them why. Ask them why.
And they're very clear on saying, I like to fly under the radar. I don't want to be known. I want to be the back end money or investor. I keep everything in land trust and names that you can't find.
Okay.
So I've had so many people ask me.
My response back is, Mr. New York, I understand that. I hope you understand that I'm looking for your track record. And until I see a track record, I have to be incredibly cautious, and it's going to be money up front, and it's going to be a lower LTV.
Okay.
You got to build a track record with me then.
Okay.
Yeah, great question, Michelle. Investor experience and due diligence. Reputation. What kind of a reputation do they have? You can spend decades building a good reputation and ruin it in one afternoon. Full-time. Are they a full-time real estate investor or are they a deal pimp? Let's just call it what it is. There's people out there, they're just hustling a deal because they want a piece of the commission. They've got no skin in the game. They won't sign their name on anything. And they're just trying to make some money by selling you on how good it is, but they won't do it if they could. Okay? Deals. How many deals have they actually completed? Actually completed. Not how many deals do they have going. They could come straight out of some 5-day comprehensive boot camp that they got sold into from a 3-day event because they went to a 1-hour preview. Anybody recognize that business model? A bunch of companies were doing it before COVID. And they could come out of that 5-day boot camp and they can feel like they've learned everything. And so now they've got 9 different rehabs running across 3 different cities, and they're spending all day just running between their properties trying to put out fires. Oh, I got 9 deals going. Don't you be the guy that fund their 10th, because they don't have a single thing across the finish line. Jim, you and I have talked about that. You give too many people too much, they go boom or poof. Education. From whom did you receive some of your investment education? I don't care if you went to Harvard, Yale, or wherever. I want to know who taught you. Now, I'm going to just say this. If you learned rehabbing from J.D. Asasian, you probably learned it from the best guy in the United States of America. J.D. Asasian, out of Fortune Builders, knows more about rehabbing houses than anybody else I've ever met. Thousands of deals under his belt. Counsel. Who is your general overseeing legal counsel? If they give you my name, panic, because it's a conflict of interest. Okay? That's a little bit of a joke, but some truth there. If they don't have somebody that they can regularly talk to, they're not really a legitimate businessman yet or business lady yet. They haven't figured out that if you're going to be in this game, you've got to have a good accountant and a good attorney, and you've got to have somebody who can point you towards the experts. Okay, investor references. Do not take their word on it. Get it in writing. Who's the longest funding partner that you were able to verify? If you wanted to ask me about my residential real estate borrowing practices, I would ask you to contact my good friend Carol Burton. She's only been doing deals with me for 12 years. 12 years. I mean, Carol gets upset when I send her back money if it's not a payment, because that's all she wants is payments. She doesn't want the other stuff back. Okay? References. What were their references from their current and past funding partners? Deals. How many people have reinvested with them? Reinvested, right, Darlene? Yeah. Hey, we're all keep learning, don't we?
46 years in the business, I'm still learning.
You know, I think I learned something last week too. So, yep. Surprise, 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 as Gomer Pyle would say. All right. So this is what keeps you young and fresh and exciting. All right. Reporting. How many of those references are willing to provide a remittance statement? How many of them are like, oh yeah, I get a 1098 from Jeff and this shows me how much I got paid. Now, do I send 1098s out to all my private lenders? No. I send them out to the one residential borrower I've got who's pre-Dodd-Frank. That's it. But do I send 1099s or other reporting? Do I have other proof of how much I've paid to other people? Yeah. You want to see it? Sure, we'll show it to you. My accountant knows how much I paid to everybody. Oh, I mean, I remember, I could probably find in my records exactly how much money I've paid to Jeff Shahusky's company, Best REI Funding. You know, interest, extension fees, the whole bit, yes. Investor reputation check. How well do you know their references? Online presence, conferences, deal partners. I mean, you've got to know somebody that you actually have been in the same room with them. Right, Joe? You want to know, is that person really what they're cracked up to be on social media or not? Okay? Yes, it's true. I do like Chick-fil-A. Whether you see it on social media or in real life, it's the same. I like Chick-fil-A. All right? What research did you find on them? How many companies do they have? Any of them in bankruptcy? Any of them in foreclosure? Dig. There's some bankruptcy shenanigans that will just make your eyes cross. So you've got to learn how to dig. Are they involved in a local RIA? Sometimes that's great, sometimes that's bad, but you want to know. What's their reputation within the dealmaker community? That is a really good question to begin asking as Dealmaker continues to branch out with more and more cituses across the nation. Thank you, Jim, for spearheading that effort. All right, what are the experiences of local real estate agents? And here's mine that I have learned from sorry, I keep moving past you all the time. Here's the one that I've learned. This is my big gotcha. Get them to where they're talking and listen. I don't care if they're a lender. I don't care if they're a deal partner. I don't care if they're a potential borrower. Just get them talking. If everything that's gone wrong or been difficult in every deal is always somebody else's fault, bye. If you've never had anything go wrong, bye. You're either too inexperienced or you're not telling me the truth. Okay? Goodbye. I learned that lesson the hard way. In fact, Darlene, I had to learn that lesson twice. And after the second lesson, I realized that when somebody always blames all of their other partners and all the other people they've been in business with for everything that goes wrong, well, there's some common denominator in all of that, isn't there? Either your picker's broken or your story's bad. One of the two. Okay. Keep moving. Due diligence on collateral. Let's get into that. Some to-dos, okay? Get a description of the collateral, all of it. Legal description, physical description. You want to know what it is. You want to know the geographic location of the collateral. When you're starting out, please just lend to trusted people and on properties that are near where you are. Carefully check the history of the collateral. Has that thing been traded more like a ping pong ball? From wholesaler to wholesaler to flipper to wholesaler? You don't want it. You don't want it. Oh, wait a second. This property hasn't changed hands in 40 years, and now somebody's going to buy it, wants to borrow money from you to buy it and fix it up? That makes sense. For 40 years, it probably hasn't been updated, and you probably have avocado green shag carpet somewhere in there. You never know, and pink bathtubs. So, yeah, this might be a real good deal, okay? If you're going to take any one of my slides and use it for your own private reference and not ever put it on social media, and promise me that, this is the slide to do. This is the slide to do. This is the best checklist I have for evaluating a piece of collateral. Valuation. We're looking at values, what's the rents, variables, how much of the market in that area is owner, rented, vacant, etc. And here's my favorite. I want to know in the demographics the percentage of married couples. Whatever definition of married you want to use, I want to know that because that just means that screams stability in my world. I like to do deals in houses that are in stable or improving neighborhoods. Okay? My bread and butter is I buy houses, fix them up, and rent them to blue-collar workers, particularly single moms that are making their way through life. That is my money shot right there. Okay? And then I've got a bunch of doctors and medical students that are renting at an apartment complex, so I'm happy with that as well. One of my biggest indicators, if I'm looking at something, is I want to know, in the upper right-hand part of that screen, I want to know the number and location and proximity of registered sex offenders to the subject property. That is the first warning sign of a neighborhood going bad, is if you have starting more and more of them to relocate into that area, that's a warning sign. We had a deal, one of my favorite lenders was going to fund a deal to a guy that I respected in the Chattanooga, Tennessee market. And we killed the deal. I wouldn't let her lend as her attorney because right next door to the house that she was going to fund and lend on the rehab was a mobile home occupied registered sex offender. Like, you'll never be able to resell that house. You'll never be able to rent it. And then the borrower came back and said, oh, Jeff, you don't understand. Look at the contract again. I'm buying the lot next door with the mobile home's on it. Here's the purchase and sale for the mobile home. I'm buying it too. That guy's moving. Deal back on. It's that simple. Okay? Deal back on. So, all right, analysis, description. We want to know Jim, I'm going to preach. I'm sorry. When you want me to draft your deal docs and you can't get me the legal description and you can't get me a title commitment and you don't know what a title commitment is, you just went to the bottom of the stack because you don't know what you're doing. Carly, can you do a mortgage or a deed of trust and not have a legal description? You can't. You got to have it. If I can't see a title commitment, I'm not interested. Okay, I want to know about the infrastructure, the topography, and the demographics as well. That's all with location. But I definitely want to know the property address, the legal description, and the parcel number. I can't do the deed. I can't do the mortgage. I can't even do the promissory note without that information. Okay? The condition of the property. Okay, it depends. Am I funding this long-term as somebody's buy and hold rental? Okay, then it matters. Is it going to be a fix and flip? Then I don't care how ugly it looks on the outside. I know it's going to get fixed up. What's the condition of the neighborhood? Are they going to over-improve for the neighborhood, or are they going to bring it up to the neighborhood? I will not fund an over-improvement for the neighborhood. Don't over-improve for the neighborhood. Does anybody need me to say that again? Bob, do you remember? You got that, or do I need to say it again? You're good? Okay. All right. Don't over-improve for the neighborhood. I said it for you anyhow. All right, history. I want to know how this house is handled. What's been going on? I want to know if I'm really nerding out and it's a good county with a lot of research and data on the websites and the county auditor and the county treasurer. I want to know who's been paying the real estate taxes. Because that tells me a lot. Were the taxes in arrears? Were they recently brought current? So I got a co-lender that she's the most diligent co-lender I've got. She was doing some double checking afterwards on a loan that we did together. And she's like, the real estate taxes on this property in 23 were delinquent. And I'm like, yeah, they were. But when our borrower bought it, he brought them current because he bought it from the guy that was behind on the taxes. Oh, okay, we're good. But watching for taxes going delinquent, okay? I like to pay attention to that. Yes, Bob.
On the legal description.
Yes.
So we're attorney-closed state in North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
I just provide the address, and I am assuming that the attorney is doing the legal description along with the title search.
Well, okay. The title search is based on the legal description, Bob.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I don't provide the.
When you come, yeah. When you come to me and ask me to draft the docs, I need the legal description, unless you're asking me to hire the title company doing the title exam too. Okay. You're hiring one guy to do both. I have people that hire me to do just the docs. That's the difference. Okay? Okay? Right. Yeah. But where am I going to start? I'm going to start with, I want to see the current instrument, the current deed on record. I'm going to take a look at that legal description. I'm going to compare it to the previous one and to the previous one and see if there's been any errors or mistakes. Yeah, that's part of the title exam. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't shortchanged anything.
We're good. Okay. We're good. I know you don't live in the great state of Ohio. Go Bucks. Yay. Anyhow, that was a serious question up on the screen. Are you and your money looking for a long-term relationship, or are you just looking for a one-night funding partner? Okay, just asking. Investing rules. Success is not a coincidence, it is a consequence. How much time do I have left?
20 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Tommy. All right. O&E or lender's title policy. You must know the history of the title. Please, 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 please begin reading the title commitments. When the attorney does the title exam and puts it all into a nice long form, please take a time and read it to see what's happened. What are the exceptions? What's the transfer history? What's going on? You need to know these things, okay? If you're lending money on a property and you are not listed as a loss payee, don't let them close. Do not let the deal close until you see a deck page or an accord binder showing your entity from which you're lending as a named loss payee on the property and casualty insurance policy. That's the first of 3 insurances we're going to talk about. That's going to protect if the house gets blown down or burnt down. If you're in Florida, make sure there's in an area where it's prone to flood, make sure you get a flood policy there too, okay? You want to be a loss payee, not an additional insured. Why? The loss payee has additional rights to reinstate the policy for a longer period of time for non-payment than an additional insured does. Now let's talk about, this is the one that I would tell you, more problems come to my office on deals gone wrong because of what I'm about to talk about. So if you haven't heard a thing that I've said, or if you've decided that you're only going to learn one thing from Jeff this entire week, this is where I want you to wake up and pay attention. Okay? We good, Seth? All right. Well, it is so much fun having so many friends in the room that I can pick on. Patricia, you got a question? Go for it. It should be whoever lent the money. The question is, who should be listed as loss payee? Whatever was the source of the money. If the money came out of your LLC, it's your LLC. If the money came out of your IRA, then it's your IRA, the name of your custodian, you know. Quest Trust Company, FBO. Wait, Quest isn't in business anymore? Sorry.
Must it be the lender on the note? The payee on the note?
Yes, otherwise they don't have an insurable interest. Yeah. His question was, do they have to be the person on the note? And the answer is yes, because you have to have an insurable interest. You have to be the person to whom the loan is owed to, the holder, the owner of the note. Jonathan? They all have to be there. No order. And then you're going to see this magic phrase of a TEMA as their interest may appear. Okay? And then the ISA, which is and or their assigns or successors or assigns. You know, all that magic abbreviation. Okay, here it comes. Never send a check directly to the borrower. Close the deals at a title company. If the money is being borrowed to buy a house, it must go to the escrow account of the party or company or attorney or whatever closing the deal. Dare I say a name? If some of y'all and a bunch of other people and a bunch of my clients would have not have sent money directly to Mark Jackson, he would not have left town with as much money as he did. I had a lady that I answered her email earlier this week, and it was, she's in Idaho, she lent to somebody in Pennsylvania. You gotta love this. You just gotta love this. This is evil. They sent the money directly to the borrower. Okay. Borrower pays off the hard money lender. Fine. Finishes the rehab. Fine. Borrower defaults. Bad. Lender says, okay, we're going to foreclose, which means lender has a note and a mortgage, a recorded mortgage. Yay. They file the foreclosure. Borrower gets served. Borrower then says, oh, and records a deed dated before the date of the loan transferring the property to somebody else, thinking that they're going to get around that. And they come to me and go, Jeff, what do we do now? And I go, like, if you had lender's title policy, that would be covered. You would have a multi-billion-dollar company now representing you going after them instead of you having to fund the deal. I mean, if I have a chance to walk softly and carry a great big stick, that's what I want to do, okay? So we're going to talk about that. Always send your funds directly to the attorney of the title company with closing instructions, with written closing instructions. How many of you use closing instructions when you fund a deal? Chuck, we've talked about this, haven't we? Yeah, we've talked about some of the friends that we have that just don't always understand that, right? And here, I'm going to tell you my frustration with closing instructions. Escrow agents don't always read them. And so you've got to find a reason to point them back to them. Like I've told you, please refer to page 2 of the closing instruction letter I sent you. Yes.
I have to sign it.
Yes.
They actually sign it.
They sign it, send it back, yeah. And we will sometimes do that. You must sign the closing instructions, send it back with your wiring instructions. Okay, that's one way we've done it. Now, there is a war going on with a lot of different things in this space, and I have an opinion, and it's going to butt up against a couple of my good friends and clients, and I got you, okay? And maybe I'm biased, okay? But I happen to be an attorney, and I happen to own a piece of a title company, okay? I happen to do a lot of real estate deals. But I believe that if you're going to do a real estate deal and you do not buy title insurance, I believe that if you're going to lend on a property and you don't get a lender's policy, you be stupid. You be stupid. So we did a deal years and years ago, one of the most difficult real estate deals I've ever done in my life. Darlene, you know the deal. Some of the other people in the room know the deal. Greg Clement was buying a property by virtue of he got the notes. I had negotiated and we bought the defaulted Cognovit promissory notes. We bought the judgment liens. We bought everything from a large bank. And we were backing our way into a friendly deed in lieu of foreclosure. And I'll get to you in a second. Okay. And so we're going back and forth, and I'm insisting that we're going to do this in a way where we close it through a title company so that when we get the deed in lieu of foreclosure, we can get a title policy ensuring that he's got good title. Because there's only 31 exceptions on the title commitment when I started working the deal. 31 barriers to free marketable title. That's all, Bill, just 31. We closed. I got all 31 exceptions cleared. 6 months later, I get on a conference call, Greg, SBA, SBA's lawyer, bank, and the SBA lawyer stopped the conference call and said, Mr. Watson, I just have to ask you, we've never seen this done before. The only reason we're looking at doing this deal is because there's a title policy you've had in place for 6 months. How did you do this? How did you get this deal to close? We've never seen it. But we'll fund it because of what you did, how you did it. It was the title company that checked over everything I did and wrote a policy, multi-million-dollar policy, because it's a multi-million-dollar piece of real estate. And now Greg then took that next loan from SBA and just blew the place up, and now it's a $30 million property that he bought for like $4 million. So anyhow, so title insurance is really important because it shows that you've got good, marketable, insurable, transferable title. Okay? Now, get closing protection letters as well. So let me recap the things I want you to remember. I'm going to explain. Let me recap. You're going to always use a title company or a closing attorney. You're only going to send money straight to them, never directly to the borrower. You're going to do it with closing instructions, telling them what to do with your money, how to do it, when to do it, why to do it. What must be signed with what color ink, on what circumstances, with what photo ID to prove it and back it up. What endorsements you want on the title policy. And then you're going to say, before I send you money, I want a closing protection letter, so in case somebody at the title company steals my money, I'm covered.
Gee, that never happens, does it?
They have a special word for it, Darlene. It's called defalcation, because it happens enough that they've got a special word for it.
Is that sad?
Yes, that's sad.
Am I a party to that?
I don't think you have been.
Oh, on that one deal, yeah, where she took the money and ran,
Okay.
sending it to the bank.
See, I don't remember that one. I don't remember that one. See, there's some septic tank cleanup jobs I've forgotten.
Those cards and letters coming.
All right, so please, closing protection letters issued by the large underwriters, Fidelity, First American, et cetera, Chicago, they say that if somebody, an employee of one of their companies or agents steals your money, you're still covered. All right? Jonathan?
One thing about the closing instructions regarding the order, for example, a lot of people will want to hold off on a private lender until the very end when everything else is in place. What are some things that you have done with the order?
So that gets into the conversation of wraps in particular. So the question is, what are the ordering? So I indicate in my closing instruction letter the order in which documents must be recorded. You will record this first. You will record this next, immediately thereafter. I mean, bang, bang, in the date stamp machine. But sometimes it's bang, 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 in that order. Because I tell them, here's what I want. Now, I have to tell you, Jonathan, I have to tell you, Bill, I've put that in the title commitment in the instructions, and they've done whoop. And now I've had to do subordination agreements to clean up the mistake that somebody couldn't figure out how to do. When I say that the mortgage from Fred goes before the mortgage from Barney, and they put Barney in front of Fred, then I got to go get something on Bedrock County records to show that Barney is subordinating to Fred instead of whatever. Okay, anyhow. Yes, a title commitment. I mentioned a title commitment, Sharon, yes. A title commitment is a document prepared by a title insurance representative outlining who owns the property now and what is required in order to effectively legally transfer it without any liens or encumbrances to another person, such as for you to sell to Patricia or Patricia to sell to you. And title insurance companies provide them through their agents or their own employees. Okay? Yep, good question. So, how many of you, I hope none of you are doing this, if you're lending to a consumer or owner-occupied, how many of you are doing that? A couple of you, okay, well, we'll do it. If you're lending to a consumer or owner-occupied, you must, repeat, you must use a residential mortgage loan originator and gather these documents for your residential mortgage loan originator. You want to make sure that your loan is Dodd-Frank compliant. You want to make sure that your loan is got value. You want a valid credit report. You want most recent pay stubs. You want W-2s for the last 2 years. You want prior year tax return if self-employed. Actually, they want more than that. You want a year-to-date P&L. You want the most 2 recent months of bank statements. You need a collateral assessment, i.e. an appraisal. Yes. Good question. Would that be owner financing? Yes. If I'm doing an owner finance deal where I've got an owner occupant in the property, or if I'm doing it to where I'm selling, I'm funding it, I want that. So now I'm going to ask you this. How many of you are private money lenders? I'm going to pick on you, Josh. Is there anything on there that would not provide helpful information to you in a private lending situation to a commercial borrower? Would all of it be good information? That's what I thought. Yeah, you do a lot of loans. So don't be afraid to ask for stuff to make you feel comfortable. And let me look. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there. I have got one last little rant, and then how much time do I have left? Do I have to do I got 5 minutes. I got plenty of time for this rant. Okay, then I'm going to do my rant, okay? Pardon me? I got you. I'll remember the rant, trust me. Uh-huh. Well, great question. If I have a borrower that borrowed money, saying it's an investment property, and then midway through the term of the loan, they move into the property and it becomes their personal residence, or that it looks like it becomes their personal residence, what do? Well, first of all, that's an automatic breach of my loan docs, because that is a violation of several covenants, and it's a violation of the terms of the mortgage. So I can do a notice of default, and I can move to foreclose right then if I want to. All right? I really want to do this rant. Okay? Can you hang on and let me do the rant? Okay. Here's what I want to remind you of. I love helping people do deals with self-directed IRAs, self-directed 401ks. What scares me is how quickly some of you will lend money out of those accounts without thinking about the years or the decades of grinding it out at that lousy W-2 job, saving the money in salary deferral and denied benefits and pushing it into that account. You know, you get a couple $100,000 over time and you don't think about the 2 decades that it took to build it. And you go in 20 minutes, do a bad deal that lost you 2 decades of hard work and savings and accumulation. So please slow down, be judicious, and think about how hard you worked, how many months you grounded out at a job you did not like. Maybe you hated. Maybe I'm the only one that ever did that. You know, worked at a law firm I did not like or hated. But bear that in mind before you race out and think all of a sudden you're some big player because you got a couple $100,000 or $500,000 and so on, okay? And now I'm not going to name, there's nobody in the room that fits this description, but I have seen it in other situations. Some of you high-income earning medical professionals, you doctors, particularly orthopedists, neurosurgeons, yeah, I've represented them in the real estate space, and frustrated artists, aka dentists. Okay? Let's face it, what a good dentist does is art. Is art in addition to medicine. So they're so talented. But I've watched some of them just do some stuff that like, oh Lord, please. All right. Now that's my rant. Yes, sir.
Listening to questions in you, it seems like some people are lending to individuals, and I don't understand why anybody would lend to an individual, because they can move into the house and take it to primary residence.
You know what? My LLC can borrow money, and I, the owner of the LLC, can move into the house. Who's going to stop me?
The LLC can't move in the house?
Oh, but I could.
That's still not a primary residence. Oh, sorry, it's owned by the LLC.
The LLC is the borrower.
Move in.
I understand.
Corporation can't move in, and they can't take benefit of the Civil Service Relief Act either. Which, if you go to foreclose on an individual that owns that property,
I got you.
In Massachusetts, it's 18 months.
I understand.
You're not in the military.
And I get you. And would I lend to just a person? No. I want to lend to a trust or an LLC.
Oh, a trust.
But I want a personal guarantee as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But LLC, of course, I don't want to lend to a
now,
trust.
I love the point that you make because I never thought about it before. So I've just learned something. Thank you for the point you make about if the borrower is an LLC and then the person moves into the property owned by the LLC, they can't claim any relief under the Soldiers and Sailors Relief Act. I love that. Thank you.
Agree.
That's a nugget I didn't know.
And it's huge because of the
it is.
time it takes to
because
prove
they
the
can't
negative.
They can't throw it up as a roadblock.
And that law is important. You never want to foreclose on somebody who is in the military.
Correct.
You know, that's just wrong. But
well, unless you're Wells Fargo.
Well.
Or Bank of America. Yeah. They have.
Yeah, that's right.
And that just, don't start me. All right.
Good point.
Oh, yeah. No, forget that. I'm gonna go back to this one. Yeah, I'm gonna do this. This is a favor I've got for you. Scan the QR code and seriously register for this. Joe Zentner knows about it. Homero knows about it. Jim Ingersoll speaking at it. It is for the Seller Finance Coalition. This is how we fund the lobbying work that we do on Washington, D.C. Virtual, all day long seminar. You don't have to travel anywhere. But please do that because it's like you get real experts that know what they're doing. So thank you. And with that, Jim, I'm done.
What's the rant?
I did. Yeah, I did.
It was good? Okay. Who's got an aha moment you'd like to share before we go to break as we transition? Anybody? On due diligence? Oh, here we go. Hey. Tell us your name. I mean, I know your name, but where you're from and all that good stuff.
John Asbell. I'm from over in Delray Beach, Florida. I think, what really seems to be is like we really have to get much more educated on the specifics of what goes on in a title closing process, just what the title people are doing, because at least in my state, in Florida, I mean, they're winging it. They're winging it. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Go ahead, Jeff, sorry.
So there are 3 questions I see posted on social media that drive me nuts. And I'm going to pick on one of them right now. And that is, I'm looking for an investor-friendly title company. That is code for meaning I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no clue if what I'm doing is legal or not. And I need somebody else to get my deal across the finish line because I don't know how to do it. That is, when I see that, I'm like, you don't know what you're doing. You don't understand what your deal is and what it's going to take to get it across. I mean, the closing that I have, that it's a virtual closing that I have in less than an hour, I review all the docs and I caught a huge error in it. Because I know what the deal should look like. I explain in multiple emails and communications, this is what the deal looks like. This is what we're doing. This is how we're going to do it. These are the documents we need to do it. Because if you don't understand that, then you really shouldn't be doing the deal.
So you actually provided, like it was last year or so, and I have it written in my notes, some like 5 or so really great points on how to choose a good
title company.
Title company. I still have that. And what I wanted to share was, like, for example, I did a deal with an exchanger in Coral Springs. These people, after 3 weeks, had not even put in public record anything, not the trust, not the trust, but the aspects of the trust. Nothing. This stuff was, we found out. And these people were in business. They were members of Collective Genius, and they were, I checked them out. One guy was like a foreclosure lawyer, and his mom was the title company. They've been doing this for 40 years, and they ended up doing the title work through a company that had outsourced their work to Morocco. I mean, it was like a total cluster, right? But just if I now, with what I'm saying, the point of me sharing this is that we really have to know a lot about what goes on in these title companies and really be on top of that.
Yep, you're right. And I'm spoiled rotten because I own a piece.
Oh.
And I know that Marilyn Lehan, who is probably in her late 70s, is the best title examiner I've ever met, and she teaches everybody in that company how to do title exams.
Well, there you go.
So yeah,
there's fake title companies showing up too.
Pardon me?
There's been some fake title companies.
Yeah. Jeff's had an issue with that. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
a real thing. So know where you're wiring your funds. All right. Oh, we had time for one more, and then we got to network. Here you go. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and your point, of course.
I'm Darlene Root, Naples, Florida, originally from Metro Detroit, Michigan. 46 years in this crazy real estate space. Well, in my 46th year. And Jeff is my attorney for the Roth IRA deals that I screw up. one of the things that was mentioned about due diligence, and you just mentioned collective genius, so I wanted to piggyback on that. Just because you meet someone in a well-known mastermind does not mean that they're qualified to borrow money. I had an experience that just went sideways, and I was telling Jeff this morning.
Sideways, it went south.
So bad. And she, and I won't mention names, is in a mastermind that I was in, and she was the guru of all gurus on Facebook. So don't take any of that stuff. No, Texas. Anyway, lent the money, and she took the funds and the rehab money and did not rehab it properly. And then I foreclosed on her because she didn't pay. And I sent over someone to do a property inspection, and the mobile home is gone. So she stole, we can't prove it was her, but she stole the mobile home. So make sure that you do, Uber due diligence. I don't know how I could have done any more due diligence other than putting an air tag on the property and hiding it. So that's what I will do. So that's my giveaway for you all today. Put the air tag on it, and I was told put an air tag on it and then hide one, because most criminals will know to take the air tag off, but they won't search all the way under. So that is what you need to do with mobile on land, or in this case, land without mobile now. So, yeah.
Good tips. I like the air tag tip, actually. Last one. All right, here we go, Parker. Thank you, Darlene.
Parker Grissom, lenders out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, REAP Funding Partners. Jeff, really enjoyed the presentation. The aha moment I had is when you said, when you give too much to people, it goes boom. We have a story like that from a couple years ago. Lent too much to a guy, 5-6 deals at a time. Great guy, great individual, became blind to it, like you mentioned. But one thing that we've learned through that process is cash reserves tracking. That is such an important part to track that throughout the deals, how many deals they have. So just an aha, kind of reinforcing what you said.
That, by tracking their cash reserves, that is your on-time instant metric. Are they making a profit, or are they hiding their losses in their volume and churn? Yeah.
Good tips. How many, by show of hands, have had to foreclose on a loan? See? I love it. Your experience. Me too, by the way. More than once. And it's not fun, is it? So what we're going to do now is spend a few minutes networking, because part of the culture of Dealmaker is epic networking. How many of you guys have already made a deal since you've been here with somebody? Anybody? Together. Yeah? I think we got that one done, so at least I have. If you haven't, and this was happening last night, if you haven't, then be looking for those opportunities, okay? And find somebody that you can network and really have one deep conversation will make all the difference for the rest of the week. And track those deals, because I'm going to keep asking you guys, okay? All right, go take 30 minutes. Be back on time, pretty please, I beg of you. Thank you for a great morning session. Enjoy your networking.